Hello, You Can Be Anything podcast listeners. Again, it's the second time you're seeing your girl today. Yep, it's one of those Sundays. There's a lot to talk about, there's a lot to do. But this time around, I'm on here with my friends, and we want to talk about development and African unity. We'll be talking about a variety of things, but again, our focus is going to be more on collaboration. But again, be mindful, we're going to talk about a lot of other things. So today I have with me my dear friend Kobe Bryant and Dixon Small, and we're going to just have a conversation. We're going to have a chat. Hey, join us. Tell us what you think. Share your opinions in the comment section, and let's do this together. Okay. So thank you again, Brian, for coming up today. It's always fun having you on the podcast, and you too. Thank you, Dixon. It's amazing to have you all on my platform today. Welcome to the You Can Be Anything podcast.
Thank you very much, Sister Babes. Can you hear me?
Awesome. Yeah, I can hear you.
It's always fun and an honor to be here. Let me sing now.
Yep. And Dixon Smalls. Say hi to my voice. Awesome. Thank you. So, guys, thanks again for joining. If you join us, kindly click the share button. While we'll have this conversation today, right? We just want to talk about Africa. We're talking about African unity. And again, these are fun conversations to have. These are conversations that sometimes you go into and you're asking yourself, like, is it like you just ask yourself some of those questions, but again, we cannot get clarity unless we have the conversations. We cannot get clarity unless we come and sit like this and talk about it. So in these slides, I'm going to start with Dixon Smalls, right? So Dixon, please, when we talk about African unity, what comes to your mind when we talk about African development and unity? Just give us like a summary, a synopsis of what comes to your mind when you hear that phrase, please.
Yeah, actually, this is my area of, as my brother who is sitting down there, Kobe, this is my area of expertise. This is what I've been doing and I've been saying for a very, very, very long time. So when we talk about African unity, this is the only way we can actually reach our full potential as Africans. If we are not united, properly united, there is no way on earth, I repeat, there is no way on earth we can ever reach our goal. So the continent is dysfunctional because we are divided. The continent is not progressing because we are divided. The continent is not even functioning properly still because we are divided. Because there's this so much division across Africa. Hey, you this, you cannot come into this country. Hey, you that, you can do from this thing. Hey, you this, you can. So when you see a continent that is like that, how the hell would that continent progress? How the hell would that continent ever reach the potentials and the goals that it deserves? It's because we're simply divided. We draw borders amongst ourselves. These borders that they drew amongst us were not even drawn by Africans. This is the most ridiculous. This is what pains me too much. Like, these things were done by someone else's, not even by us. I've not seen an African drew a border within an African. These were done by the Europeans. Then Africans accepted it. Then I see a brother from the next town that maybe this town is Namibia, then the next town is another country. Then I'll see my brother with just like 10 kilometers distance. Then I'll say, no, you're from another country. This is not right. When the Europeans that did this in Africa, they are all united in Europe. So what is this nonsense? If you go to the United States is a very big country. The United States is a very huge country. They came together and they called it the United States of America. So if we are still talking, no, this one is our own. No, that one is their own. No, this one is not our own. Then how are we going to get to where we are going? We look at the mirror and we say, no, you are not supposed to be here. Which is not right. If an African goes to another African country, you are welcome home. That is how it needs to be. You are at home. There's nothing else than that. It is easier for me as an African to travel across Europe easily. Go to Germany, go to Spain, go to France, go to Holland. It's so easy for me as an African to travel around Europe than it is for me, same, an African, to travel within the African continent. It's my own continent. I can't even go to this. I can't even go to that because of unnecessary visa restrictions and headaches. And it's
Oh, so which means so within, but I hear there are some countries in Africa where you can go there without a visa, right? Is it that some parts of, and again, you're the expert here. I stand to be corrected and to be educated. Okay.
if I have to go to South Africa, I need a visa. If I have to go to Namibia, I need a visa. If I have to go to Botswana, I need it. You see, all these places, there's nothing wrong with me going on vacation in Namibia. There's nothing wrong with me going on vacation in Botswana. It's a big continent. We Africans will not even explore our continent. This continent is so huge that we don't even know the importance and the blessing that we have as an African to go around. Africa has everything. If you want to experience the cold, there's some parts you go to Africa and you can experience the cold. If you want to go to the rainforest, there's some parts in West Africa you can go and experience the rainforest. We have the desert. We have everything that anybody can think of to enjoy on this planet Earth. If you go to the Democratic Republic of Congo, you can see the landscape and the forest that even the forest is so fresh that even humans has not even entered into some places of the forest in the Democratic Republic of Congo. That's how huge it is. So if you are that person that likes nature, you want to experience nature, you want to do documentaries on different types of species, the Democratic Republic of Congo is the answer. But now, if I want to do all that as an African, I can't, because of the unnecessary visa restriction and the division among us.
Yeah. So that was Dixon talking about his view on African unity, development, and African unity. Brian, please let's hear from you, and then we can start delving into.
Yeah, thank you. So, thanks, Dixon. I will just speak based on what he's saying, using that as a foundation and maybe be more actionable. So, I mean, when we talk of unity, I think the first place we would look at is the human body, because some people say like a human or the body is a nation of parts. Like you have let's say in terms of systems, nervous system, respiratory system, with that system again, you know what I'm saying? So, but within them now they have means to network or communicate, like the nervous system with the electrical signals. That's how the different parts can communicate, right? And then even in terms of pushing energy out to when we eat, the digestive system has its ways of playing that role. So now look at Africa too. Then I'm thinking of unity as us being functional aspects of, because the nations themselves provide us with those systems. Like one nation could be like the nervous system now. Because if you look at America, for example, each state is a country. And then there are different capitals. Like LA will be the capital for media or movies. When you talk of finance, it's New York. You see what I mean? And so you see that even these countries themselves, they can appear as different systems specialized in certain units. So when I think of African unity, I'm thinking of how can we organize ourselves so that with our own competitive advantage, we can be specialists or experts in one sector, so that others too can repeat in other sectors, and then how we can communicate to achieve our own perfection.
Awesome, thank you. So, based on what I've heard both of you say, am I right to say that Dixon, you drive? I know you say that this is your area of expertise, but am I right to say that it's your goal, or what when you talk of being able to have a visa-free, is your goal that we have a one Africa? Are you one of the people who believe that Africa can be governed from a single body down, or are you looking more like, hey, we are this continent, and within this continent we can make life easy for, like, maybe, but let's just use the example of Europe, because I know when I lived in Germany, I did not need a visa to go to Holland but I needed Germany to go to the UK. That's because of Brexit, right? But then, would you say, what is your goal when you think of African unity? What is your dream? Is it an Africa with a single leadership that looks at everything all like under one system, like a single system? Or are you looking to just make things easy between the different countries that make up the African continent? What is your dream? What is your view?
Thank you very much, So babe. As I've told you, this is my area of expertise. Let me break it down so that the common man can understand. All right.
Yeah.
When I mean we have to unite for the greater good. Let me break it down properly. Now, you see, we are not functioning as a people because of the colonial legs or hooks on our neck. I'm not saying Africa needs to have a central government, a one government. No. We need to have a stronger union. This is where the laws should be made. We need to have a central union, just like in Europe, just like in the Arab League, just like in any of these countries. If you commit a crime, for example, if we have a common law and a common database, if you commit a crime in Cameroon and you flee to Nigeria, you are going to be arrested. If you commit a crime in Namibia and you flee to the Democratic Republic of Congo, you are going to be arrested. Now, how are we going to get here? The first thing we need to do as an African, we need to get rid of the colonial masters. We cannot progress as a continent when the resources is being looted to European countries. So this is the reason why I keep saying we are divided. The Europeans take advantage. When we are not of the same mind, we are divided. Cameroon say no, this is ours. The Zimbabwe say no, this is ours. And we are so divided as people. Then the colonials, masters, they have the opportunity to steal, to rip apart the continent. Just like now, look at what the Chinese are doing. The Chinese are taking advantage. Africans don't like themselves. So what do? They start dividing still. Now, we are not just under the influence of the Europeans anymore now. The Chinese are not coming. After the Chinese, maybe the Indians are going to come. When is all this nonsense going to stop? Go to Ghana. The Chinese have dug all the farms, they've destroyed vegetation, all in the name they're looking for gold. The Europeans came early, they destroyed Ghana looking for gold. Now the Europeans are okay, no, we're done. They left. Now the Chinese are there, destroying the country, trying to look for gold. So when is all this nonsense going to stop? That's why we need a strong union, a one strong union African body that will say, France, you have to leave Cameroon, you have to leave this country within 24 hours. If you do not leave, the whole Africa is going to stand up and we're going to fight you. Leave. We don't want you here. We want you gone. Africa can handle this problem. This notion that we need Europeans to come and save us, to come and teach us, totally nonsense. What are they talking about? We don't. They've been in Africa over hundreds of years. What have Africa achieved? Backwardness, hunger, diseases, low infrastructure, looting, dehumanizing. What we've gone from good to worse since the Europeans arrived. What have they done? We don't need these people in our continent. We don't need the Europeans to tell us how to direct our continent. Let me give you another example. If you go to Europe, it is illegal to kill an animal. It is illegal to even kill a squirrel. You know what a squirrel is, right? Don't you? Everybody know what a squirrel is.
Yeah.
If you catch and kill a squirrel in some European countries, you might be jailed up to 3 years. But these same Europeans want to come to Africa and tell us how to run our reserve. They come and they bring long guns and they go into the bushes and go into the forest and they start hunting. And when they kill all these wild animals, they stand where the kill has been made, and they take these pictures and they put it on the internet, and people celebrate them around the world. This is nonsense. This is happening because why? We Africans, we do not stand as one people. We keep having this idea that we are different. We are not different. There is no body language or whatever. We are the same black people. We are one. There is no doubt about it. There is no difference between me or somebody that is from Kenya. There is no difference from somebody that is from Kenya and someone from Zimbabwe. We might call it different names. And these names that we are calling ourselves are not given by us. What if you take it from my home country now, they call it Nigeria. What is Nigeria? It was not given to, we did not choose that name. It was given to us. It was given to, that is not what we should be called. It was given to us. Everything needs to be given to Africa. Okay, Africa, you have to take this. Africa, you have to take that. Africa, you have to take this. When is this nonsense, this rubbish is going to stop? Another little example before I let Brian continue is, I remember there was a time when the Europeans came to Nigeria, and there's this guy, I've forgotten his name, but I'll tell you as soon as the program continues. He said he was the one who discovered River Niger, and he named it River Niger. What the hell are you talking about? You did not discover River Niger. That river has been there for hundreds of years. The locals have been fishing there, drinking the water from there, doing all sorts of business and commodities on that river. You came just maybe 100 years, and you're telling us that you are the one who discovered that river. And the worst part of it, it was being taught in our schools that this guy discovered the river Niger. How did he discover the river that has been there for hundreds of years? When Nigerians keep drinking from that river, keep washing from that river, keep doing all sorts of things on that river, how can you come
Mungo
now?
Park. Mungo Park is the name.
Yes, that's his name. That's the name, Mungo Park. And you say you discover. How can you discover something that has been there for hundreds of years? That River Niger is a lifeline of the eastern and the southern part of the Nigerian people. How can you come within a few years and you're telling me that you are the one who discovered it? And what did African do? We celebrated him. All this nonsense has to stop. All this nonsense has to stop. Just last year, the estimated import of stockfish from the Norway to Nigeria is over $160 million. Stockfish. This is the type of fish that even the Europeans don't even eat it much. Because we Africans, we don't understand how to work together. We now start importing stockfish from Europe, and we're spending so much money to do this import, to trade this, to continue this business, to get the transaction done. And even an ordinary Nigerian, let me put it, an ordinary Nigerian that wants to, okay, yeah, let me start a little business. It becomes so difficult. Because why? We Africans don't want to work together. We don't like ourselves. We hate ourselves. We use every opportunity to compare with each other. There is no competition. There is no winner. There is no loser. There is only one winner when the continent comes together. There is no, hey, I'm in Nigeria, hey, I'm a Ghanaian. No. This is the problem with Africa. We believe we can do it on our own. How long have we been trying to do it on our own? your own. I want to do my own country thing. I want to do my own country thing. Cameroon want to do their own country thing. Gambia wants to do their own country thing. It will not work.
But this all boils down to this desire, again, as I put on the topic, this all boils down to the whole thing of collaborating among African countries, right? And collaborating in different aspects of, oh God, I'm going into my blur. Sorry, I'm leaning back. Collaborating into different aspects of life. I know that one of the things that we've spoken a ton of on social media has been in the entertainment space, but there is more to collaboration, especially when it comes to African unity, than entertainment. So again, Dixon has expressed himself and how he feels. So based on Dixon's arguments, it's more like I'm saying based on what you said, it is more like what is happening in Africa today is the fault of the colonial masters that are still in Africa. We all know, I don't believe that there is anything. I know in history we were taught, for example, my country, Cameroon, we were taught that when Africa was taken back from, that France and England defeated the Germans and then split Cameroon into two, right? Then at some point, again, forgive my history blackout, Cameroon now took over, the colonial masters left. I never believed that the colonial master, especially France, has ever left Cameroon. To me, that is. I know in history, we thought that they left Cameroon, that Cameroon is no longer under. That is what they tell us in history. But one thing for sure, I know that the colonial masters are still in Cameroon. And I bet that happens in many other African countries as well. And that is where your frustration comes in, Dixon, because these colonial masters still have their claws on Africa. They're still controlling Africa so much in a way that Africans themselves, we the Africans, I don't think we have a lot of say in our own continent as much as the colonials do. And I bet that's where that's where you're focusing your point. Did I get that right?
Yes, you did. Let me quickly add to what you said. Even Brian knows what I'm about to say because I educated him the last time we spoke, not concerning about this, but we branched this topic. Do you know France in particular steals $500 billion yearly from the African economy from its 14 French colonies, which includes Benin Republic, Burkina Faso, Cote d'Ivoire, Guinea, Mali, Niger, Senegal, Togo, Cameroon, Central African Republic, Chad. Don't believe what I'm saying. Anybody listening, go to do your research and see. How can a continent ever reach its potential when France is stealing $500 billion yearly out of that continent and that economy? How can an ordinary man living in Cameroon ever reach his potential? How can an ordinary man living in Burkina Faso can ever reach his potential? Even an ordinary man living in Burkina Faso cannot even drink properly, cannot even drink a normal juice because of all these problems. How can you live a normal life when someone is stealing up to $500 billion out of 14 countries yearly to strengthen France and strengthen Europe while the continent continues to disvalue? This has to stop. This has to stop. And the only way this has to stop is we people like us trying to share this awareness, talking to our brothers and sisters. Listen, we have to wake up. We have to stand up. We have to tell these people, no, we don't want it like this. India is what it is today because they fully taken over their country. If these people don't leave Africa alone, continue to steal and devalue and disorient Africa, we can never, ever, ever be where we need to be. We'll continue, like we pray from now till next week, continue to pray in the church from now till 300 years, we are still going to be poor exactly the way we are right now.
Yeah, they've taken everything from us and given us religion.
That is the point. That is the point. I was watching. There was this program, in South Africa. Mr. Malema is one of our Malema is like an icon to us for what he speaks. He talked about this group called Operation Dudula in South Africa that 8 other African countries. They call them, you can go and check at them on YouTube anyway. They call themselves Operation Dudula. There were some people from Zimbabwe and other places. They were selling tomato in the street, in a particular corner. They were selling tomato. These guys came, they said no, that they were taking the jobs. They chased all those people, all those other Africans that were selling tomatoes in the streets of that block. After 2 weeks, we thought South Africans would go there and start shading their own tomato and be selling. None of them went there to ever sell a tomato. What does that tell you? This is pure hate. You chased them out because we thought you said, okay, they were taking the jobs. You are not going there to sell your tomato. But after 2 weeks, you didn't go there and sell your tomato.
There's no tomato.
Even Julius Malema himself came online and spoke about this. That this is not right. You see people from Zimbabwe, all these other countries going there become a gate man, trying to open the gate for these banks in South Africa. And they say they're taking our job. The Malema said, what job are you dragging to become a gate man? Are you dragging a job to become a gate man? So this idea of self-hate is going to take a long time for it to disappear. But the right way to start it is by people like us putting this out there to educate our people. You don't have to. We are one. There is nothing wrong someone from Cameroon travel to South Africa and find a better life. There is nothing wrong from someone of South Africa come to Nigeria to start a business.
Yeah.
The South African business that is in my country, home country, Nigeria, are doing far better than the ones in South Africa. MTN came to Nigeria. They made money that they've never made before in South Africa. This is Nigeria. We strengthened it. We streamed it. We used it. We bought it. Nigeria loves MTN. We accepted it. We have our own local network, which is Glo Nigeria. But we embraced MTN. We saw, yeah, this is good. We took it. Go and make your research and see. MTN made money so much in Nigeria that they could not even dream of in their own country. We're talking about a population of 250 million people. You can't compare that with a population of around 30 million, 40 million, 50 million. So this is the whole idea I am talking about, that we need to work together. But the Operation Dodula that is chasing other Africans out of South Africa, they've not done their research that a South African company went to Nigeria and made huge amount of money. No, they didn't think about that. They didn't talk about that no, we are also benefiting from other African countries. We shouldn't do this. They never thought about that. But what they are trying to do is, no, Africans living in South Africa that is not South Africa must leave. This is the self-hate among black people. And even long ago, they were even killing other black people in South Africa. Black South Africans were killing other black Africans. This is sickly. This is wrong. This is not right. And what did other Africans do? They kept quiet. What did our bloggers do? They kept quiet. What did the influencers do? They kept quiet. No. This is what we call self-hate.
Yeah, go, Brian. Yeah, Brian, go. Let's.
Mashallah. Victim for president. Yeah. So, I mean, it looks like this, in terms of fixing this, it's to take a long way. Dixon, thanks for the stuff about 500 billion. That's just what we see in terms of like hidden tax and theft and inflation. Remember that many currencies are like managed by France, like France CFA. yeah, and stuff like that. So they manipulate that and inflate it. So they,
Yeah.
because imagine like uh so Babe's brother asked last time that if you are selling something, assume you're selling Gary, and then somebody can make money, just print the money and give you for your Gary. that that's theft, right? Because they can go build.
Straight up theft. Yeah.
Yes, you go make the Gary, make the timber and everything, and they can print the money for it and give you. Like
Mm.
it's crazy. Yeah. So there are many layers of these things. But if we start empowering ourselves and building little by little and then collaborating,
Mhm.
we would have economic power. And then with economic power, the apple my tongue, my racer. So
The economic power.
so okay. So you love me. So with economic power, we can then start lobbying politicians to pass favorable laws. You see what I mean? Because imagine if let's say I have a tech company in Cameroon and I've built value, a lot of value. I'm talking about
Mhm.
France CFA,
Yeah.
and perhaps there's a branch in Nigeria, or even not then, I can start engaging in politics. And these things come naturally because when one builds a big corporation, is made of several units from accounting to legal. So
Yeah.
legal, yes, legal is always very important. They know ways to lobby and push things into government
Mhm.
and stuff. Yeah. So it's really in our hands to build this, because most times in Africa we feel like, in Cameroon in particular, most of us feel like we're tourists. So we'll go to
Yeah.
Cameroon,
Someone else
yes,
needs to do it for us.
yes, we're waiting for someone else to come and fix it. You see, but
Mhm.
yeah, that would never happen. That will never happen. So it looks like we are the ones to really be building and collaborating and uh, taking things into our own hands. If we want to go outright and challenge the other countries, we will not be able. But the best way to kick out the system is to get into the system and use it, right? So it's nowadays superpowers are superpowers because of economic power in particular, which they can use and transform it into other powers like military and stuff. So if we start building value ourselves and collaborating with each other, then I think we'll grow little by little and we'll have a better future.
Yeah, again, thank you, Paul, for bringing up all those points because I know when Dixon talks from the point of, yeah, these people need to go. He talks from the point of, oh, the colonial masters need to leave Africa. But again, I love that you brought in the approach, Brian, of what do we do? How, again, this is not the first time we've heard about One Africa. When again, we talk One Africa, it doesn't necessarily mean being governed by one person. We're talking about making the ties among African countries a little bit more loose and encouraging collaboration, trying to delete or at least blur out some of the lines that draw across different countries in Africa, trying to make it less difficult for somebody in Africa to leave one country to the other, right? And I bet that is based on what Dixon just explained. That is the drive. That is what, again, we hope to see, that life in Africa can become so easy that I can just wake up one day and say, hey, I want to move to Nigeria. I want to go live in Nigeria, or I want to. Brian, do you need a visa as a Cameroonian to go to Nigeria? No, right?
No, I don't think so.
You don't. So Nigeria and Cameroon does not need visa. But if you want to go to Botswana, as Dixon said, you need a visa. So do you by any chance know what is the constitution? Is it every country that makes its own? What defines? Do you know? Again, I'm throwing this is a question I'm throwing out there. Like, do you know what defines the visa requirements among African countries? Any idea? Is it a decision made individually by a country to say, hey, for these specific countries, you're going to require a visa to come here. For these other countries, you don't require a visa. Any idea? Do you know, Dixon?
Yes, actually, what brought the concept of this was we still go back to the colonial masters, you know. So the point was You see, back in the day,
Mm-hmm.
you see Nigeria and Cameroon.
Mm-hmm.
The Anglophone community of
Cameroon.
Cameroon are
Mm-hmm.
the same as Nigerians. There's no difference. The way you eat, the way you dress, the way you speak, the way we are the same people across the border down to Calabar, Cross River State. They are the same people. Now, the colonial masters came and they said, this line now, this is Cameroon.
Yeah,
This
those
line,
lines.
this is
Mm-hmm.
Nigeria. And these people, they speak French. And these people, they speak English. And the what are not this is the point. You see some Africans identify themselves. No, I'm French speaker. Then I'm like, what did you just say? But you are an African first. Why? What, the French is not an African language, to be honest. The French is a French language. You've been taught, okay, there's nothing wrong with you being taught, but now you claiming it that this is an African identity. This is ridiculous. And you see, even people moving together, they say, no, we are French speakers. We don't go to that side. Those are the English speakers. They should move. The Nigerians and the Ghanaians should move together. They are the English speakers. Why
Yes,
the Burkina Faso and the Ivory Coast, we are the French, we should move
French
together.
speaker. Mm-hmm.
This is what I am telling you. This is the killer that is destroying the continent. Because when I look at the mirror, I'm supposed to see my brother. Now, when I look at the border, I see someone else's. So this is the reason why we keep having this issue. And the governments of these countries in Africa are not even helping issues. They are not even helping issues. Why don't we abolish this requirement and make it easier for Africans to go to go around this continent? Just like what the Kenyan president wants to do, which I applaud him a lot. He wants to remove the visa barrier in Kenya, and any African can travel to Kenya and see the lions and see the giraffes and see the wonders of this planet. And he can go back home and say, yes, I went to Kenya last year. Me and my family, we had a good time. Europeans can come to Kenya and enjoy the reserve and go back to Europe. But why we Africans, we're having issues. I really want to see the lions. I want to go to the reserve. I want to go to Sarageti Reserve. One of the most famous reserves in the world is called Sarageti Reserve. I want to go there. I want to see this animal. At least I want to do it once in a lifetime. But don't tell me you can't go because of you need this visa, you need that visa, you need this. No. It is my continent. It is my home.
Hi, Roy, Mama. Yeah. So I see again, when we had a question, I see you all watching. Thank you so much. Oh, Kobe, I see Abdul
Yeah, I
Suleiman.
know.
Yeah,
Yeah, let me
share
send
it with him. Yeah. Roy, Mama, baby girl, I miss you. I miss Sunday Fun Day talking African development today. African development today. So Sunday Fun Day today is about African development. So I'm sorry for cutting you short. I was just looking at it, Dixon, to see. It shows that there is the African Continental Free Trade Area, right? So that is something they call the AFCFTA. And based on that, they do say that there is ongoing work. I don't know for how long this has been going. You are the expert here. That there is ongoing work to
Abdullah.
make sure that visa requirements within Africa is made easy. So they're trying to promote intra-Africa travel, trade, and integration in the line of African Union's vision to have more open borders by 2063. By 2063, think of it.
It is what you said. What you said. It is a lie. This is something they've been saying for a very long time. When did West Africa open their borders to each other? Not just long ago. So we Nigerians could travel to Ghana, and Ghana can travel to Nigeria. I can travel to Burkina Faso, and Burkina Faso can travel to. When did that just happen? This is the rhetoric they keep putting out there. How, if they want to do it now, within 24 hours, they can do it. Open the borders for us. They can do it within 24 hours. But why they don't want to do it? because the Europeans keep giving them money. Say, hey, no. Hey, president, no, don't do that. Keep it low, so that you don't let these guys come into this country. These guys are bad. Those guys are not good for your country. If these guys come, they're going to topple your government. So keep the borders locked. Don't worry, we're going to take care of you.
So don't you think that the fact that some countries have already opened it up, it's a work in progress? Again, I'm talking based on what I was just reading. I was doing some research on that. Don't you think that it is a work in progress? Because apparently it was not like that before, right? Before you could not travel like that from Nigeria and other countries. But it looks like recently, or at least in the past 3 years, is it 3?
Rwanda and Kenya are the leaders now.
Yeah.
Rwanda and Kenya are the leaders. The reason why you are saying it like this, because Kagame is a visionary. He knows. He schools, anytime Kagame has the opportunity to sit with European journalists, he schools them. You don't come to Africa to tell me about Africa. I will tell you about Africa. You shut up, sit down, and keep quiet. Malema, he schools white journalists about Africa. Sit down, I'll tell you about Africa. This man has this vision. That's why you see things are losing. Not because Africa is changing. It's because these men have said, no, this isn't right. This is not right. That's why they are changing things. Why are we still having this issue? We're talking about this is 2024. Africa are still not united. The European Union united, like there's this guy called Giordano Bruno. I don't know if you heard of that name before.
No.
Brian, have you heard of Giordano Bruno before?
No.
He is a philosopher that's from Italy. He once discovered the planet, how the planet rotates. Do you know
Bruno? I know Bruno. Yeah, I know Bruno.
That's it.
I know Bruno. Yeah.
In 1538, he was able to travel across Europe. Let me repeat again. In 1538, there was no border in Europe. He was able to travel across Europe. He was in Germany. He was in France. He was in Ireland. He was in Denmark. He was able to travel across European continent to teach. In 1538, and here we are in 2024. Hundreds of years later, Africans are still not able to go around its continent. Come on. And to tell you it's work in progress, there is no progress here.
Okay, so I saw progress based on what I was reading. And so again, you did mention that I'll actually paste it in the comment, Brian. Don't worry.
Okay.
I did paste it, Abdul. So based on what you said, right? Again, I'm ready to say this. It's true that we have our visions, but also it's important that we look at what is actually taking place. And again, it's not everything that they write that is true. I do have another question. When you look at this visa requirements and how strict visa restrictions can be among other countries, again, reading through it, it does highlight countries like Egypt, Algeria, South Africa are the strictest when it comes to visa requirements. Listen to those countries again: Algeria, Egypt, South Africa. Does that ring any bell? Do you think that there is a reason why it's these countries that have the strictest visa requirements? Do you think that it is this whole concept of, we are not? Do you even think that if we were together, one Africa, countries like Egypt and Algeria will participate? That's a question.
Thank you for this question. This is a very, very good question. You see, when there is good food on the table, everyone eats from it. I'll repeat it again. When there is a good food on the table, everyone eats from it. So even if they don't want to participate now, but when they see the progress and the road towards the African continent is going, they will have no choice than to work with Africans. If Africans is becoming the world market, African has taken over, they will work with Africans. For example, let me quickly break this down. Let me go to the entertainment industry. I remember it was more or less not going to happen. You've seen an African-American celebrity listening to an African song, even dancing to it. It's more or less that is not going to happen. But what has the Nigerians done today? They're taking over the world. You see them performing in the biggest stage of the world. They go into the World Cup. They go into the Champions League. They go into the NBA finals. They're going everywhere because now the thing is so good. It's so good that they can't resist it anymore. So it is the same with the African economy. If the African economy is going towards the
I
right
can't hear
direction,
and I can't.
sorry.
I can't hear. Can anybody hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I can hear you.
Hi, Suleiman.
I can't hear.
Yeah, we hear you. I hope you heard me say.
Can you hear us hear you?
Yes, we can hear you. That's a good question. Can you hear us hear you?
Hello? Can you hear me, Brian?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, we hear you, Dixon.
All right, so let me balance what I've just said to your
Yeah.
question. So when the African economy is becoming stronger, becoming integrated, it is booming. The Egypt, the Algeria, they will have no choice than to work with Africa. It will be cheaper for them and it will be much easier for them to penetrate into the market. Things are like this now because they're saying it is so disorganized and it's so dysfunctional. So I hope that has answered you.
Yeah, again, I hope that it happens
I
the
can't
way
hear.
you don't hear us. Let me see. What could be? What could be? I wanted to take a question. Do you want to come back in, Suleiman? I can actually hear him. Am I the only one that hears him? You hear him too, right, Brian?
Yes, I can hear him. I can hear him too.
Let me try to mute and unmute him. We can hear you. So maybe you need to check your sound.
Or you should go and come back in.
Yeah, Brian, can you write for me? You know that I don't like to type. Can you write to him to try
Go
to
and
go
come
out and
back.
come back?
Okay.
Okay, it looks like he cannot hear us. Please.
Okay. Sure.
Let me take this comment from T. Collins Photography. T. Collins, you scared me on all that show. Now you've come back here. So T. Collins says the problem with open borders is it comes with a downside. For example, crime would also move without any restriction from one country to the other. That's one of the major concerns, and not necessarily European states blocking it. So again, you talked about earlier on, Dixon, you did mention that when that it should be when if they do that, it will be easier. If somebody were a criminal in Cameroon and they flee to Nigeria, they can be arrested there. But again, T. Collins is coming with another perspective.
Let me quickly answer him. Can I answer him, please?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
I don't know if this brother has ever traveled across. Does he live in the diaspora or he lives in Africa?
Just answer him first.
All right. If he lives in Africa, it becomes a little bit difficult for him to understand. But if he lives in diaspora, it's going to be easy like this. If the African states come together, there's what we call the database system, just like as it is in Europe. So when we have the same database system, it becomes easier to track criminals from one place to another, just as it is in the United States. You're a criminal in New York and you fled to Los Angeles. There are going to be cops waiting for you at the airport. You're a criminal in Germany and you went to the UK. There are going to be police waiting for you over there. You're a criminal in Spain and you come to Italy and you're going to have the police waiting for you here. So the reason why it is now that it is even easy. When someone commits a crime in Ghana, he can flee and go and start a very brand new life in Cameroon, in a small community in Cameroon, and no one will ever know that person is alive or is dead. So it is now that it's very easy to commit crime from one place in Africa and flee to another place. When we open the borders for goods and services and for humans, I am telling you, Africa will transform for the greater good.
So if I get you right, you're more on the side of a more integrated Africa, not necessarily a one Africa, but more on like ease of interaction, ease of like let me put it that way, a more integrated Africa. So yes, guys, that's what we are talking about. I see comment in the section, like what are we talking about today? We are talking about African unity. We are talking about how can we actually, how do we visualize a One Africa? What are some of the things that are stopping, that are blocking this whole One Africa vision? And one of the things that we chose to look at today is collaboration. And we've spoken about different aspects. Again, Dixon is strong on the fact that colonial masters are bent on this, colonial masters are holding us back, and that we should be able to crush them and do African, right? And Brian came in and spoke a little bit about the fact that it should be our own conscious effort, and did bring out an idea that I thought sounded cool, like being in a position where if you have like big corporations, big African corporations, lobbying our politicians so that we can sway them to make policies that will favor us Africans rather than having them listen to the colonial masters. I do think that that is a cool thing. I wish we could actually do that. That would depend on if we have those corporations that have those millions of currency or whatever currency we are talking about, that will be able to sway these politicians, to dissuade them from listening to the colonial masters who are pretending to have left Africa, but they are still ruling Africa. They are still the ones punching buttons in the back. They are still the ones telling our leaders, telling the most African leaders, not all of them. I know that there are African leaders who do not listen to colonial masters, at least that I know. I cannot call countries now, but I know for sure. But I also know that there are some African countries that every decision that is made in that country is still dependent on what the colonial master does. And for sure, Cameroon is one of those countries. I can speak for Cameroon because I am from Cameroon, and I know that France still has a lot of influence on Cameroon, a whole lot of influence. And our wish is that someday, if France can leave Cameroon alone, for Cameroon to roll as a country of its own, we are going to be better. That's what I believe. But again, the problem is getting France even out of Cameroon. How is that even? It's just like, again, I don't think I know. I see both Dixon and Suleiman, they are both Nigerians. I don't know how much influence a country like the UK, how much influence the Queen had in your country. And if the Queen, now that the Queen is gone, is the King as interested in Africa like the Queen was?
Hello, I don't know if you're hearing me.
Yeah,
yes, we can hear you now,
but
just in time. Oh, you cannot hear us still? Oh, God. Oh, I wanted him to respond to that question. I wanted Sulaiman to respond to that question. But while we are trying to get him to get us, Dixon, go ahead. Brian, you've been so quiet.
I was listening.
Yes, the UK has a lot of influence in my home
As much as France has on Cameroon, you're the one that
it's not really as much as France just have with Cameroon, but they have influence too. For example, I will talk about the going to the petroleum sector. The UK has a lot of influence there. They know that what they've done. They know that what they've done is inhumanity. They've destroyed our crops, destroyed our farmlands, destroyed the vegetation, destroyed everything, and leading to no compensation for the people. Leading to no compensation for the people. And they keep supporting corrupt government. They keep promoting corrupt government because they know that's where they gain a lot from. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
So this is the most part. This is the most part where they gain those influence from. For example, if you are a leader and you've already shown that I have no interest to work with you, I don't want to work with you guys, I don't want anything to do with you guys, I'll do my own thing for the best interest of my own people, and I'm guaranteeing you will never win an election. You will never win that election.
Can I add something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so also one thing that really enslaves us and prevents us from being autonomous is like debt. Is debt, right? Like when, for example, if you want to develop your country, the same masters in one way or the other, because slavery, colonialism, they've not been abolished. They just have makeup on as different things. So uh now, if you go to the World Bank that you want to develop roads or whatever, they're willing to give you money, but they only give you the money if you have the teams and personnel to develop those roads. If you don't have it, they will give you the people to, they'll say they will give you consultants to build it. You see, so now, but those consultants are still the same people. It could be a French company, American company, a British company, and so you see, it's the same thing, right? Like, so long as we are not the ones going to hire those people on our own terms, then we'll never be able
Depend on
to.
them.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's one
There's a lot of
really.
dependency, I think. I agree with you, Brian. There's a lot of
That's how the
dependency.
World Bank works. So it's not like I'm making it up. That's just the model. You see
Yeah,
what I
No,
mean?
but if that is the model, that's a lot of dependency. How are we now
Exactly.
trying to say, hey, these people, if we depend so much on these people to be able to do these things, to develop our own countries, then how can we cut them off? If we say, okay, we don't want to deal with this European with the colonial masters anymore, we need to be able to be in a place where we don't need their money. We cannot go loaning money from them. Then we are saying we are cutting them off just by loaning money from this, or borrowing money, sorry. Just by borrowing money from these countries, from these colonial masters, we are still tying knots with them. It leaves them, they hold us, they would, you know how they say you blackmail somebody, right? They have us in their hands because we owe them money. So they will still be able, I think that's why, if you ask me, that's one of the reasons why France is still so strongly in Cameroon. Right?
Exactly.
But it's just, I don't know how can you hear us now, Sulaiman?
very clearly now.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Okay,
joining us, Austin.
Thank you for having me. Can I jump on it now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. I've been itching actually. Good morning, everybody.
Hello.
Yeah, it is a very, very interesting and very sensitive topic. I have my reservations about matters like this. I'm always on the side of, you know, I'm always on the side of holding restraints on heaping blames on our colonial masters. Although I understand and recognize and appreciate that the situation of the Francophone African countries are quite different as against that of ours who are Anglophones. You know, Cameroon inclusive in the Anglophone, Francophone fold. Now the thing is, if you check and if we would be very objective and sincere to ourselves, we would see that regardless of whatever hold they have on us as it relates to exploitation of natural resources, they have not really been at our necks when it comes to liberation of our own space. That's when I talk about bilateral relationships amongst Africans. Now, look at what has happened. If you are conversant with happenings, you would notice that Kenya and Rwanda have lifted visa requirements for African nations to visit their countries. Now that's a step to start with. If we can all, you see, I think first of all, African leaders are not coordinated in their thinking. They don't have a common shared value. That's number one problem. Because if you look at it, African Union, ECOWAS, and all those unions, AFTC or AFCTA, African Trade Union, whatever. They have made resolutions. They have signed bilateral, trade agreements. Over time, we've seen all these things happen. Are they being put to effect? They have none of the. Okay, what's the meaning of ECOWAS? economic,
Economic Community of
Community of
West African States. Mhm.
So what is the shared value they have together? Nothing. If I would have to transport let's say farm produce from Nigeria to Ghana, I would see hell, border restrictions, checks and all that, tariffs and the likes.
Mhm.
And we say it's economic, whatever of West African states. So why all those restrictions? You understand? This is what happens freely across the EU. I went from Finland to Sweden without any checks. Nobody asked any question. I just moved. So now, even the free movement we have between Nigeria and Cameroon and Ghana and all these West African states is not without checks. It's not without checks. So when will Africa come together and make a definitive stance as regards policies that affect moving forward? It's all a joke. It's all a joke with having those elderly men come sit together, talk, and they go back home. They come back the next 3 months, they talk, and that's it. It all ends at talks.
Yeah, I'm glad you said elderly men. When you look at those people, I'm like, these people, there's nobody. Somebody, again, I was talking earlier on today with one of our Cameroonian brothers that is running for Congress, and he did make mention encouraging young people, encouraging people to go to vie for things like that, especially in the US. Like if you're in the US, you can. Again, it's a kind of country where you can run for Congress. So he is one of those that is doing something like this. And he made mention of the fact that you see, look, for example, the people that are running for presidential, that thing is only in Africa. Look at the presidential candidates in the US today, they're all above 80. And when I look at those, our ECOWAS conferences, all those people you see, they go and sit for the SADC, ECOWAS. I'm like, what is happening in here? Like, who are these people that are making decisions? They're all old people, like really old people. You watch videos of some of them sleeping off camera, like they're sleeping and even farting in camera. And you're like, what are these people doing here? But again, those are the people that make decisions. Those are the people that we are looking up to unite Africa. Those are the people we are looking up to say, hey, they're going to create policies that will bring Africa together. And again, truth be told, I don't believe in most of those unions that they did. To me, it's just
Should I quickly respond?
Sorry. I need to say something.
It looks like I did cut Suleiman when he was talking. Yeah.
For context sake, I'm not against old people ruling. I'm never against it.
I'm against.
No, I'm not against it.
They should give young people the opportunity to.
I'll tell you why. You cannot wish away the experience of the old. No.
And they should be advisors.
But you should be able to use it. Don't
Advisors.
They can be advisors and mentors.
Well, it's neither here nor there. No position is wrong. No position.
We've tried those for decades now. Let's switch to what's
Hello, sir. Hello, sir. Please allow me to answer. See, the thing is, you see these people. It's not about the age. It's about the intent. You understand? Trump is as old as my president, but you saw how vibrant it was when Trump was piloting the affairs of America. That's not to say that there were no flaws, but then you saw that this man was vibrant. He was all over the place, and he made the right kind of policies that will bring about shared development and growth for the country. Now, Paul Kagame is not a young guy, but we see the wonders he's doing in his country, Rwanda. So the thing is not about it. We were clamoring for younger guys to be included into the politics of Nigeria in my country. We got there's a small girl, one little change like that, stole how many billion?
What?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
This is a very recent development. It's not up to 1 month. You understand?
Mentorship. The young people are still into.
Yes.
Oh God.
So, over 350 billion. She's been investigated. You understand? So what I'm saying is,
Class,
it
let me
is
show
not a,
you.
it is not a function. It is not a function of age. It's a function of the decadence in the system, our value system. You see, in Africa generally, there is this mindset that we have that, okay, we're all poor people. Fine, first of all, we have a very poor mentality. We are coming from a very poor place. So that has instilled one thing in us: strife and greed.
Mhm.
So now we are going we are going towards we are gravitating towards leadership with a mindset of go chop your own. That's what we have in our minds. And now, for those people, for the very few who don't even have that kind of mindset, how can you keep your head on your shoulders and be sure that when you get there, you'll not be consumed by the system? Because it's easy for us to look at ourselves and say that when I get there, I'll do this, I'll do that. Look, you cannot vouch for yourself when you have not been when have not been tempted with power and money. Now, and again, considering that the system is warped, is skewed in favor of those kind of happenings, how can you protect yourself? If I assure you, if you become a congressman or whatever position in politics in the US, you may most likely succeed without any stain. But the moment you become a local government chairman in Cameroon or whatever country in Africa, believe me, you will be dragged into the net because that is the tradition there. So, look, it's very easy for us to come out here and start talking, but to work the change is a
Yeah,
very difficult one.
we want to work the change. We want to see how we can work that change, right? We want to
Exactly.
see how. I think that
Auntie,
to me, that is the way forward. Like, how can we, what is it that we are missing? Why is it that even when the young people take over or they put them in those positions, they get drowned or they get swallowed up in that whole all man take his share? I have to cut my own cake, my own piece of the national cake. Why is that happening? And to me, that if we can gear our conversations more towards things like that, I think that is going to make this maybe somewhat a productive conversation because it truly is. These people, they've done all what they've done in Africa. We've seen all what our president, there is corruption everywhere. But we know that when it comes to a country like mine, I talk for Cameroon, the corruption is not even hidden. They do it in your face. I'm not saying that other parts of the world are free from corruption, but in Cameroon, they will, in your face, right there, they'll do it. But now, if we are still having this problem of younger people taking over and still just maintaining the system, then there is a problem. And that is the problem. That's the cankerworm that I want us to see how we can destroy. To me, that's how I want to approach this.
Can I quickly answer your question, so babe?
Go ahead, Dixon.
The question, first of all, I have to answer two questions. The one for Suleiman and yours. Yours, you talked about the old men being leaders, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who are these people? They are called the pulpit of the West. When you support the Western agenda in Africa, I am telling you, you can rule for eternity. When you support the Western agenda, you contribute to the Western agenda. They know they have you as our representative there. Nothing is going to take you away from power. Just like the way they ousted the president of Niger, that he fled. No, the president of Niger, that he fled to France. He was the puppet of the French administration in Niger. They give them everything they want. If the France want this, they give it to them. That is why they are called the puppet of the West. So when you see a president like that, of course, they don't have the people heart in interest. All they have is the interest of the Western world. So that's why you see them can be able to rule for so long. And they keep doing all the things they were doing from the beginning. They keep doing it in the day they leave the office because the France and the Western power continue to support them heavily on that position. Even sometimes give them security guards, special police to protect them, to give them more information about what is going on around them. That is the reason why you see them like that. And the second question that my brother, Mr. Suleiman, said about stealing everywhere in Africa, that is another topic of its own, because that is corruption in the local stage. When we're talking about the unity and coming together of Africa, it is a little bit different, because this is my area of expertise. When we talk about corruption in our local country, it is left for the Nigerian people to hold whoever is responsible of money laundering in that particular community. That is the responsibility of the people living in that community. That is not an African problem. For example, somebody that is in one city in Cameroon, Bamenda, stole some huge amount of money. It is the responsibility of the people in that community to hold that senator, to hold that government personnel responsible. You stole our money and you are going to pay. That is a local problem. How it now becomes an African problem? If that same politician fled from Cameroon to, for example, fled to Namibia, it is now an African problem to arrest such criminal and extradite that criminal back to Cameroon to face the consequences which he or she deserves. So there is what we call the local problem on the local stage, and the bigger problem. This is the biggest problem Africa is facing: dysfunctionalization, the unity. So it is different from stealing in one particular place or another. No, it is not the same thing. This is far bigger than that. How can we look at ourselves and I say, hey, my sister, you are my sister. I have nothing against you. You can come to Nigeria and start your business. You can come to Kenya and start your business. You can come to Namibia and live a better life. You can go to Cameroon and start with whoever you want to start. This is the first step to the greater good. By the time we start seeing ourselves like that, Africa will transform. But we are not seeing ourselves like this. We are not still yet having that mindset. We still think, no. You don't need to be here. You cannot stay here. We are not the same. You don't need to be here. We want to eat our granite alone. Don't touch granite, Cameroon granite. Cameroon granite belongs to only Cameroon. Don't touch granite at all. This is the mindset. Just like as I saw when some Cameroonians say, ban this music, don't play that music, don't ban this music. What are you banning? If Nigeria is eating it good today, let us celebrate Nigeria. We don't know who is going to be eating it good tomorrow. Success does not belong to one place. There were times Nigerians were dancing to the Congolese music, the Makossa and the rest. We had that, only that we had in our country. We were dancing at Willow and we were shouting and we were happy. Times changed, the spirit of time. Now Nigeria said, no, let's transform. Now we transform, we're not dancing the Afrobeat. We don't know the sound that is going to come out tomorrow. We don't know which country is going to bring it. Nigeria will not remain like this for eternity. No. Some other country will also come with their sound. We also vibe to it. That is what we need. When we now start separating each other, looking for unnecessary excuse to separate each other, then it becomes division. Well, don't forget, when you are separating in your country, there are also people like you in the other country that will also take the advantage to do the same in that country. That country will do the same in the other country. And at the end of the day, how can we ever grow as a continent?
Yeah, I love that you have deviated from the blaming. Again, when you started talking, the vibe I got was that it was the fault of the colonial masters. But as you talk and you go forward, what I'm hearing is more of it is us. It is our responsibility as Africans to do this. It is not the colonial, it is not solely the colonial master. Because the examples that you've given at the end here gear more towards, yes, it is the responsibility of me as a Cameroonian, or of you, Dixon, as a Nigerian, to say, hey, I can do that. And if we, somebody is attacking us in the comments and saying that we want to talk about change, but we don't want to join politics. Brother Suleiman, are you a politician?
You see, the problem is...
Answer the question, I even give you a point now. Are you into politics?
I'm not into politics.
Okay. I just wanted to know. Thank you.
I'm a student of politics. I like to hear, what's his name? Dixon talk a lot. He sounds like a motivational speaker. You know.
By speaker, you mean the speaker, like the device.
Brian, take your time. Brian, take your time. Take your time, Brian. Brian, you don't say me to take your time, Brian. Take your time.
Go ahead, Brother Suleiman.
You see, those talks are very, very, they are motivating, but they are vague. Vague in the sense that, you see, people who come from a place of strife, there's something that happens within their psychology. People come from a place of poverty, rather. There's this problem, there's this battle going on within them in their heads. There's struggle to survive, there's strife, there's competition. So everybody's, trying to grasp what he can so as to show that, yes, I've escaped and I'm ahead of you, I'm above you in this sense. Hence, that's why you see that when, I don't know if that's how it is in your country, but then, when, say we grew up in the same suburb, I now have a little more money than you. The next thing I do is that I relocate from that place. I go to a richer suburb, a place of better affluence, and you see in the expression of my appearance, you see the kind of cars I drive, you see in my dressing, you understand all those kind of things. So they need to be validated and to distinct ourselves from ourselves. Those things are as a result of the internal struggles we have within us. Now, these are problems that the societies have brought upon us already. So those are things that they are mental. And until and unless that mentality is erased or that miseducation is re-educated, we are going nowhere. First of all, that's the foundation of everything we're talking about. So, and that's the same problem we have in the Black communities in America.
That's what I was going to tell you. That is not even an African problem. That is a problem that is everywhere, even in the States. It's the same problem that we face here.
Yeah, I was going to extend it to that point. That's the same problem you have in the Black community in America. But if you come to this part of Europe, you don't find those kind of things. It doesn't exist. The power distance is so low. You don't even know who's rich. So until and unless we're able to, declassify the status and class system, there's a big problem. Now, it exists in America, but to what extent? At least in America, you know that if you work sincerely, you can earn a living, right or wrong.
Right.
But in Africa, does your honest work assure you honest living?
Nope.
Thank you. So you see, the struggles we have are numerous and they are big. So first of all, we are still fighting that internal wahala within ourselves. It's personal struggle, and personal struggle that is taken out to others to show that, yes, I'm above you. Now, and that translates from individuals to the collectives, to the top, to government. That's why when they get to position of power, they steal and enrich themselves.
What I was going to ask you, is that justification to why when people have that opportunity to be in those spaces now, what they want to do is change their family situation? What they want to do is steal to make sure that do you think that it is because of that internal thing you're describing? Because we know that we are coming from that part and we want to satisfy that internal want to also show that, yes, we are above now that we are in power, we are better and we are like, yeah, I don't make them, right? Do you think that is what drives this continuous theft and especially when people get into political offices.
You'd see that I took
Men
my
office.
time. You'd see that I'm taking my time to explain it and cascading it upward rather downwards. You understand? To make you understand that it's not a mere phenomenon. It's a disease. It's a mental illness. Because if it's not a mental illness, how would you imagine that somebody will steal
Laughing.
enough money to better his community? He will steal enough money enough to tar roads across a whole state. He would amass it to himself.
He thinks he can spend it better now than the country.
Yeah, and he'll go buy a big SUV or big SUVs to drive over the roads. And those, you understand? And he's not thinking of developing infrastructure. Rather, he's thinking of stealing the money and keeping it to himself. It's a mental problem. Now, this problem now traverses across Africa, the length and breadth of Africa. It's just that it's more severe in one place than others. So when you have people fighting internal problems, they are rather concentrated upon themselves than integrate. That's why if I have a problem I'm dealing with, I have an ailment that I'm treating, I'd rather focus on myself, treat myself, than to come and even think of how to cooperate with you to talk about business. So we have a mental problem in Africa that we are dealing with first of all, before we can even think of integration. That's okay. Imagine, tell me, no matter how poor you want to tell me the country is in Africa, there's no country too poor to develop infrastructure enough to connect cities across Africa and even build roads across Africa. There's no country that poor. So why do we have bad roads? There are certain basic fundamentals that we even have to discuss before we talk about integration of Africa. That is why you see there's a lot of hate amongst ourselves, because there's an internal struggle we have to sort out first. So the liberation of the minds of an African man is a far cry from over. Seriously.
So are you saying that one of the reasons we have bad roads is because if I know that I want to build, again, somebody that is trying to build a house in Cameroon had the same struggle, like, hey, why do I want to go build? I'm thinking of this beautiful house that I can build in Cameroon, but at the same time, thinking of the fact that if he stands on the balcony of his house and looks around, he's seen into his neighbor's pig toilet. That's disgusting to him. So I asked him the question, what about, and again, what he was saying, he was talking about crowd development. He was talking about the importance of how communities can come together and do crowdfunding and crowd development so that the whole, like if different, not like countries, right? But at least even within a country, you know how you people have this place in Nigeria, Banana Island, right? I think that's a posh area. That's one of the posh areas, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So imagine that the people have houses there. Again, I'm just talking about a quarter in some place in Nigeria that came to my mind. Or for example, Brian, if we are looking in Cameroon, let's say you pick like Upstation Bamenda, right? Yeah. People come about and say, hey, we own land in this area. We want to come together, put our money together and build together, develop an area together so that you will not have worries. I think from what you said, Brother Suleiman, there is already that problem of people wanting to do their thing. And as you say, I agree with you with this part because it comes to that inner thing like, hey, I am the one who did this. They don't think about that house you're building that looks nice and posh up there. How do you drive to that house? You're going to get into all those potholes to get to that magnificent house that you've. So what you're saying, if we could even start by doing smaller things like this in our communities, then bringing it up at the level of the countries, then bringing it up at the level of Africa, then I think that we are not even there when it comes to our basic quarter. They talk of a quarter head. Our basic quarter, we are not even there. So to me, that's how I look at it. I feel like I agree with you that there is still a lot to be done with the African man's mindset or heart, because this piece of the national cake, I don't know, this thing is engraved in us. Everybody wants to steal. I'm so disappointed to hear that a young person in power steals. It's so disappointing.
She's just 36 years old. You can imagine that idiot.
It is scary.
So babe.
Yes, 6.
You guys are taking this topic and you've turned it upside down, to be honest.
No, we're just
let me tell you. You are talking what you are talking about. If you go to South Africa, there are good roads, there are good communities, there are good infrastructure. But see here, they still hate other Africans so much. What you're saying is not the solution. That's what I'm telling you. You're taking it upside down. Even if there is nice road in Ghana, the people still don't. They are not still coming together. There are nice roads in Egypt. There are nice roads in Algeria. There are good roads around South Africa. But still, they still hate it. So what you're saying right now is something else for another day. That is another topic. We're talking about the unity of Africa. So that what you're saying has absolutely nothing to do.
So what according to you is the cause of this hate?
This is what I'm not telling you.
This
is what I'm not telling you. The first thing we talk about hate, when you talk about hate in Africa, the first thing you have to mention is the colonial masters. That is the first fruit that it all came from. Because before these people came to Africa, we were trading together. We were surviving together. Even West Africa were trekking far to the East Africa to do business. So let us bring this concept properly. Let us take a look at it. That's why I am taking my time to educate young Africans out there. This is very, very important. And when I talk about it, I talk about it with passion. And I can give you 10 reasons to my own research why Africa must unite. And I will list it. And maybe I'll leave it back at the comment section. One of the reasons why Africa needs to unite, need to come together, is the wealth of Africa. Africa is the richest continent per resources. Still, the people live in a shithole. We need to unite because of our wealth. If you go to this African country, they have that. If you go to this African country, they have this. Nigeria has crude. Cameroon has fashion. Cameroon has vegetation. They have agriculture. This country has this. Why don't we come together and trade properly amongst ourselves? We share the wealth. The wealth goes around Africa. That's number one reason. We need to come together because of the wealth of Africa. Then number two reason why Africa must unite is pooling investment resources. What do I mean by pooling investment resources? Africa needs to understand we don't need the Europeans at all to invest on a large scale. What do I mean by this? There is nothing wrong for the richest man in Africa, Mr. Dangote, to fly to Cameroon or to fly to other European African countries. Once you know they produce there, invest heavily on that African country. Yes. Invest heavily. If you know this country, they have granules, they have the abundant granules. There's nothing wrong. Take the money, fly from Nigeria, go there, open the big business, open it there. Then from there, you export all over Africa. Because now, other young Africans now have the access to eat granite that is from Kenya. That is number two, pooling investment resources. What is the other reason why Africa must unite? In number three one, optimize market size. What does this mean? If Africa has more than 1 billion people, then we don't need any other. We don't need any other country. We can do everything on our own and survive on our own, and even export our products to even other continents. This is another fundamental reason why Africa needs to unite, because we are more than 1 billion people. We have to. Then I'll go to point number 4. Protectionism. What is protectionism? Protectionism is the ability for Africa to be able to protect its own market from competitions like China and India. Too many products from China and India are coming into the continent. Why we don't give back? How are we protecting our? We don't have. There is no direction. There is no market. There is no law. There's nothing. Anybody can import anything inside Africa. Anything, anyhow, even for midnight, anything, anyway, nothing concern anybody. Can you imagine?
I wish that was
There
actually possible.
is a scale and protection of how they do this, how they run the economy. This is all the things I'm listening to you now. Because this is the things who study. Number 5 reason why Africa must unite is bargaining power. Together we stand. If we unite, Africans can talk to the United States and tell the United States of America, shut up. You will not enter Africa. If you do not come to our terms, you cannot enter Africa. That can only happen if we unite. A small country like Mozambique cannot talk to the United States of America. A small country like Botswana of merely 3 million people cannot talk to the People's Republic of China. No, how can that happen? But if we stand as one, we can bargain power for Africa. Nigeria, Cameroon, everybody stand as one. Yes, this is the position Africa wants on this trade. The United States of America, I don't care who the president is, has no choice. Because the African continent has said, this is the kind of deal we want for Africa. We can stand against China and say, China, this is the kind of deal we want for Africa. If you do not come to our terms, leave. The Chinese have no option than to come to the terms of Africa because they want to sell their goods. This is the same thing the European does. This is the same thing the European does. So this is the number 5 reason why Africa needs to unite. And I'll go to number 6. It might not be that's not really that important. This is the common currency.
Yeah. Yes, Brother Suleiman, go ahead.
Hold on, please. Let me say something.
Mhm.
If you listened well, you would see that I drew a nexus between strife, poverty,
Mhm.
and the what's it called? What's the word? I'm looking for the word. And the hindrance towards success. If I'm sick, my primary responsibility will be to focus on my own health and get well first before I can even talk to any other person. I'd not want to go to work to make money because my health would not be optimal to ensure that I'm able to work. Africa, individual African nations are sick. They are sick. First of all, you are not able to take care of your own internal problems first. Now, Nigeria has issues, at least I can speak of.
Mhm.
We're not able to even unite the forces from within. We have the Igbos saying they want to go. We have this other one saying they want to stay. All those are problems. Now, that may be one of the reasons why after having gone for all those conferences, we still come back and we forget that we even discussed something at the table. You understand? We just go and when we come back, somebody from the east will now start dragging and says, "Oh, referendum, we have to go." This one will say, "No, you cannot go." So all these are issues that we have amongst ourselves, and because we don't have the right kind of mechanisms in place, well, I don't want to say we don't have, or we have refused to look inwards to devise proper mechanisms to solve those problems. Those things keep rearing their ugly heads up and keeping us down where we are. Now, the thing is, it is easy to say that, oh, we can tell America, shut up. We can tell. Now, look, first of all, if I would come to you for help, say I need $10,000
Mhm.
for a business, you want to see what I have on ground first. Now, we are not even able. I think this is the first time you know how many borders we have with Cameroon? You know how many borders we have with Cameroon? For the first time in history, we were just able to launch one road, one official road to connect Cameroon to Nigeria just 2 years ago. Since the start of time in this world, we were just able to launch one road. You live in Europe, bro. There is no part of Europe that is not connected by a road, unless there's a sea across, just like France and the UK. There is, and they have even built tunnel from way back, undersea tunnel from way back. So now the resources, or the financial resources that we're supposed to deploy to solve all these problems, these myriads of problems, these small problems that have become huge that we have put those monies in personal pockets. You heard when the former Prime Minister of UK Tony Blair was saying that the amount of money that have left Nigeria, if the same thing happened, the quantum of money that left Nigeria, if the same thing happened to the UK, there will be no country again.
Yeah, they'll be gone.
You understand? It is indicative of something. Look, we until all those problems now. Okay, now first of all, let me even bring another thing to your consciousness. How are you sure of the population of your country? When last did you conduct a real census?
Wow. Even in Nigeria, I thought that was a Cameroonian problem.
It's an African problem. How are you sure of the population of your country? When last did you have a proper census? You don't have database. They just brandish a figure, and you start carrying it. We are 250 million. We are 300 million. We are 2 million. It's a lie. Do you understand? So you see, and for political reasons, we have refused to conduct census in our country. And that same thing applies across a lot of African countries. You understand? So people that are not ready to conduct meaningful census are talking about development. That is where it starts from. If you cannot, in fact, in times of old, you would read the Bible and they say that Jesus Christ fed 5,000 people. In the days of Jesus Christ, they knew how many people were living in Bethlehem. They knew how many people were living in Jericho. In 2024, you don't know how many people are living in Lagos, let alone Nigeria. So what are we saying? We're not ready. And our pockets of internal problems that we have, Ghana has its own, Cameroon has its own. So those things already have bred a lot of animosity within us. Then we are now looking for where to dump our garbage. Then you come and now go on your page and say, you bastard, you don't have light, you don't have electricity, you are fighting Afrobeat. So all those things are the nonsense things that we'll be saying because we're not ready.
Thank you for joining, Brother Austin. Before you give your point, Brother Austin, Kobe, you've been listening for more than 30 minutes. You need to throw light on what you have heard so far before we give the mic to Brother Austin. We need to be rounding up in the max 20 minutes so that we can get back to our lives. Kobe, please go ahead and give your thought before handing the mic over to Brother Austin.
Oh yeah, thanks a lot, guys, for all the points. There's a story of the guys the first people that put on shoes, that invented shoes. I've told that story over and over, and I will keep saying it. So they wanted to cover the whole earth with leather. And then one person was like, what if we just cover our own food there with the leather? You see, we will not need to tie or cover the whole earth in leather. And that's how we have shoes today. You see, so I think, like I said before, I think we as a young people, we should start investing our times and energy in a capitalistic way, in the free market, so that we can build value. And then what we would attach around that value, we can use it to lobby for laws that would allow for good censuses, or is it censi that they call it? You see what I mean? Like good censi to happen. And Yeah, and stuff like that.
Okay, I'm not going to comment to your census, sensor. Thank you. But also, go ahead.
Good,
Thank you for
good, good,
joining.
good day, everyone. Thank you for,
Yeah,
for,
good
for
day.
having me. There's something I quickly want to make out. Hope we can all hear me.
Yes,
Yeah.
we can.
Okay. Politics is economics. Politics is life. Politics is everything that has to do with you and I.
Mm-hmm.
When I see a program like this and I see youth, young minds, people, young brain debating, and the first question I ask, that's why I asked that question. Are you a member of any political party? Are you involved in the politics of your community and your nation? Once they say no, I totally know that they are not ready and they are one of the problem. Because the truth, see, we cannot debate everything for all I care. The government is not doing this, the government is not doing that, we need to do this, we need to do this, we need to do that. It all boils down to the foundation we have to do with politics. Every laws you see that they made in your country, the politics can only be decided by politicians, not you and I. Even if we talk from now till Jesus come, till the end of the world, nothing will change. If there must be a change, it can only be done by the people we elect into office. And the problem we now have today is that the people that talk about that they have the idea, they have the mind, they believe in the change. They only talk, they don't want to be involved in the process that will change everything. That's why when I see people talk, sometimes I laugh. The first thing I look at in the people is your interest in the process, and the process has to do with the politics of your nation. It is not about, you can blame. We are the problem, not the politicians. If all your years of exposure with the kind of mind we've talked about with the people we have here, and yet you are not involved in the politicking of your nation, it shows you are one of the problem. The problem is not just only the politicians. Are we not ashamed that we know what is right, but we are not parts, we don't want to join to change the process, but we keep complaining, laying blames, and saying we'll do this, we'll do that. Let me say this. You see, people that get into offices, like my nation, for instance, when I'm a journalist naturally, it was one of the things I started seeing concerning politics that made me join politics. And when I joined, trying to involve a lot of young people and the kind of excuses they give, it made me start crying. And sometimes when I hear them complain these days, sometimes I just want to tell them to shut up and stop complaining. There's an anger that comes out of me because I've seen a lot of people that talks about idea, but they are forgetting that even their own life, somebody can come on tomorrow as a politician and make laws that your business should be shut down, and your business will be shut down. People do not understand the risk of not being part of the process or even electing the people in their various nations, whether you live abroad, whether in your nation back home, another. You can have a property tomorrow that you bought with your money, you build a house. These politicians have come out from nowhere because they are corrupt and make laws. They will revoke your license and take over your property, and nothing will happen. So if you do not want to join, you see that whatever investment you think you have, they are not even safe. Let me use during COVID, for instance, as an example. When they came out and make laws that there should be quarantine, people should stay at home, people shouldn't go anywhere, people shouldn't do this, do this. Did we not stay at home when they passed the law? We stayed indoor. If they also come out tomorrow that your business should be shut down, nothing will happen. So before we start talking about African government and they're not doing this, they're not doing this, they're not doing this, they're not doing that, you ask, who do we want to change the process for us when we already know the people that are there?
Hello, brother. Let's
I'm
go in
coming, I'm
quickly.
coming,
Let
I'm
me let
coming,
me
I'm
tell you
coming.
something. Let me tell you something.
I'm coming now. I'm coming. I'm heading
How the
somewhere.
argument got to the Africans. This is not what we were talking about. We were talking about the integration and development of Africa. This what you are
I'm coming
saying
now. I'm
is
coming. I'm
something
heading
different
somewhere,
from
sir.
There
what
is
we
there
have
is a
brought
connection,
here.
right, Dixon? He's trying to say that again. He has attacked all of us by saying that we are talking about politics and we are not in politics. But again, I think the point he's making is you do need to be a part of. And again, the show I had earlier today with a man that with the Cameroonian that is running for Congress, he made mention of the same thing. We cannot sit and allow other people to make policies for us. You need to be involved. That's the same thing he said on that show I had earlier today. So I think that is where Brother Austin is coming from. Like, hey, if we want to be able to, for this development to happen, for this One Africa thing to happen, it's not you and I, it's not me as a podcaster here today. Yes, I can do my own little share by sensitizing, by talking on shows like this, but it needs people who are involved in politics and for them to make the policies that will lead to the things that we are looking at, that will lead to the, hey, removing the whole borders. We are talking about graying the border lines so that Africa can become more integrated. So I am drawing the link. I know that Brother Dixon is more on the side of let's talk the development, but then Brother Austin is coming from the fact that, hey, we need to be that development. And so I bet that it's the same line of conversation. But hey, please, Dixon, just give him a minute to round up your thoughts for me, please, so that Dixon can express
No,
himself.
what he does not understand, even if you are talking about working with other nations, creating an African market, is it not the same politics? Every government in power has an agenda, has something that they want to do. And most times the agenda is totally theirs. If we want a change, it is we being part of the process that we can begin to look to create an alternative. We have
I
been
have
doing
something
the
to say.
same thing.
Mhm.
We've been doing the same thing for years, and we only sit down, complain, and begin to wish for a change. And there has not been any change. For we African people, if we now create a change, you see why I'm mainly particular about those of us that are here. You see, most people that are mainly aware of a lot of things that believe that there needs to be a change in Africa are most people that have traveled out of Africa, that have traveled around the world. Even if they've not gone out of Europe, they've traveled and seen some things. For most people back home, I will tell you boldly, over 70 to 80% of the people back home in Africa, they are not seeing from where you are seeing things from now. That's why sometimes when you go to them, begin to discuss some things with them, they don't, because you know why? The kind of education. See, that's why I have a problem. I don't know, Brian, if you remember, I talked about it last time about the kind of educational system in Africa.
Yes.
The educational system has totally made us to become totally dependent on the government, dependent to get a job, dependent to get on this. And that's why we've now gotten to a level where we do not have an independent mind. And another thing that was also sold to us, introducing democracy without democrats and also a democratic process is one of the biggest undoing of Africa. And that's why if you see, during all your school process you passed through in Africa, all your class rep, were you part of the process to nominate them, sir, to become your class rep? Were you ever part of the process? Everything was imposed on you. You see that we have a foundational
We
problem.
did. We did where I
Huh?
was. We did
You
it where I
actually
was. Yeah, we brought it.
when it
You
comes
see, so
We did.
you see, almost everything was imposed on us. Even in the same family we are also from, our parents have never seen for our opinion or sit us down to talk to us about anything in our lives. They just come have their own decision and tell us this thing will be done this way. And this is why when most Africans get to power, they begin to feel that they can also impose, because where we do not have a democratic culture. So when you begin to talk about we do it, and we that know better now, if we don't get involved and begin to educate our people and begin to think of how to create it, because you cannot change anything from outside. If you must change anything, no matter how you talk about it, you must get inside, then you begin to work and begin to change the thing from within. You can only change something that you are part of. You can
Okay.
never change whatever you are not part of. And that's the truth. And that's why you see a
Okay.
lot of people with ideas, even from America, from Canada, and all that. There are a lot of Nigerians, a lot of Africans that have these ideas. that would like to put into the African market, the Cameroon this and all that and all that and all that. But because they are not part of the process, even if they said the ideas to African government, most of our politicians, because they know this thing is not the idea, they will make use of anything. Do you know how many people that meet with our president almost on a daily basis, giving them ideas how to develop Africa and not that? Because that is not part of their agenda or the people that sponsor them. Because to become a president, apart from you, there is a cabal that sits together that fund your electoral process. There are people that supported you to be there. So when you get there, most times you need to play out the agenda of also those people. Because see, there's a way they work.
Bro, please. I think I need to say something at this point, please, because you've been talking for a long time. Please permit me. I beg you. I beg you. You have spoken well, very, very well. I appreciate the collection of your thoughts. But there's something you have contradicted yourself in a way, tactically, and I'll explain that. You see, thankfully, sorry, I've been hiding in my closet because I needed some time alone. So thankfully, I have lived on Earth for 4 decades and 2. I have followed politics. Sorry?
No, sorry.
Stop. We are running up the show. Stop distracting. Please run up your thoughts so that we can get back to our lives. It's almost 2 hours we've been here. So please.
Okay. So I had gotten involved in the political process at some point. I took a back seat. So I'm talking as somebody who has gotten involved at some point, who has an insider knowledge. Let me tell you, if you have any bone of decency in you, the way the present day Nigerian political system that I can speak of is constituted, bro, trust me, you'll take a back seat. You will take a back seat. If you still want to keep your heads on your shoulder. Now, you just said something. You talked about getting involved in the political process. Good, very good. Now you said something. You said if they come to them with the right kind of ideas, they still would not take it because it doesn't fit with their agenda. 1 and 2, they have sponsors, political backers who sponsor them to achieve their dreams. It's transactional. They have a lot of people to settle. Now, it speaks to one thing, the depth of rot in the system. You as an individual, with your agenda or with your agenda to go change things. Look, you are like a lone voice in the wilderness. Nothing will happen. I'm more than sure that there are lots of people in that political system who had the same kind of pristine ideologies before they got in. Now they are in. Now you need to understand one thing as a root person. You as a person, just one person, as an African man, I'm very sure there are more than 50 people looking up to you. More than 50 people looking up to you, from your father, your mother, your sisters, your brothers, friends, uncles, aunties, and hangers-on. You know? Now, like we said earlier, one thing stands as a common denominator: poverty. However rich we think we have become, poverty still lies somewhere within us. When you become a political figure in the country, there are those people who still see that we get our person there, we get our person there, we get our person there. You come from it, then your village head will know that he is our son. They don't know you now. They will know that you are their son. Your church people will know that you are there, and a lot more others like that. Now, forget it. I don't care how rigid or strict you are. There are some people you can't look at in the face and tell them that you will not do certain things. You understand?
I will totally disagree with you on that, sir.
Hang on, sir. Hang on, sir. There are people. It's subjective, though. It's subjective. Please, maybe I overstressed it because there are people who come to you. Please, my son needs a job. Apart from those, the son needs a job. Now there are certain basic obligations. Your salary is say 1,000 naira. Nobody knows the amount you earn from that work. All that they know is that you are holding an exalted position. And they are coming. There are people who call for recharge card. There are people who call that I have hospital bills to pay, my house rent, my landlord, and all that. You cannot blind your eyes to all those things. So now that is why I'll make an example. It's a very insensitive thing to talk about because it's my country and it's a personal thing, but I'll talk about it here. I was going to make a video. It's been on my mind to make a video since. The chief of staff to the president, Gbajabiamila, 2 weeks ago, he launched some projects. World-class hospital, I think one in Lasso, one in Unilag, some auditorium in different places, some, massive projects. One man. Those projects, the cost will run into billions. Billions. Now, that's one man. The source of his money is politics. He doesn't do any other business. He's launching those kind of massive projects and people are singing his praises. He tried. Yes, relatively he tried because out of the hundreds of them there, only one person would come out and use the money that they have amassed from politics to do this kind of thing. But one thing remains is that this money belongs to all. Nobody should earn this amount of money when there are hundreds of millions of poor people in the country. You shouldn't go into politics and be that rich. It's not your money. But that's how
he did
some
things before, though, not just on the politics. He did some things before that we can't say here. He's even into it. A lot of most of our Nigerian politicians, a lot of them are into a lot of shady stuff, even till now. I know.
So now that's what we're.
Sorry, I'll leave you guys. Brian, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I forgot that my camera.
Yeah,
that's the.
Mr. Suleiman, I think I'll be leaving. I'll just say something. And Mr. Soso, I don't feel this topic went to the right direction, and it ended up our brothers talking about something in our own personal country, which I do not recommend here at all. This is a topic that's supposed to be for the African continent, not just for one particular place. And the brother talked about a lot about COVID and all those things that has absolutely nothing to do with this topic. And I don't think the topic went to the right way. But I want to tell Brian, I'll be coming back with two experts because there's this friend of mine that studied international studies and diplomacy. She has a master's degree. He practiced in Germany. Then I have another guy that's in Lagos that worked with African Forum Union. And I think I'll be coming back with those two people so that we can properly talk about this topic. Because the way this topic went today, to be honest, people listening back home didn't learn anything. And there was no chance for us to talk about the problem and talk about what might be the solution. Instead, people talking about what is happening in one particular country. And that, to me, went off key because this is not why I stayed up late to do this podcast. It's not to talk about Nigerian problem or South African problem. It's supposed to be the problems of Africa and the solution, how we can relate. So that I didn't get what I needed to hear, so that's it. But I'll be coming back with experts again.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time. And again, of course, I appreciate that you did come up. And I know that you wanted to talk this in your own dimension, but again, the way we looked at it was an open floor, and we wanted to be able to talk about different things that leads to. So it's many different things. And one of the things that I made clear to you was that this is a very broad topic, right? It is a huge, talking about African development and unity, it's a huge topic, and it touches various aspects of life. It touches life all the way down to the personal way, how we bring up our children at home. That's how I look at it. So again,
let me land quickly. The reason I had to go this far and made the reference that I made, because I acknowledge that it was a sensitive thing to reference earlier. But then the thing is, there's nothing happening in Africa, in any part of Africa, that is not known to all parts of Africa. News is out there. People are seeing everything. And okay, if we want to pretend that these things are not happening, why are we not getting the kind of development that we deserve? It's because of these kind of things that are happening. You understand? So there's no shame in it. I'm not ashamed to say that this kind of things are happening in my country. They are happening. You understand? So the thing is, this gentleman brought up an issue as regards why we are not getting involved in politics.
Into politics, yeah. And why did we talk about not getting into politics? Is because we need politics to join that, right? So I think it just connected, one thing connected to the other, which to me, Brian, I don't know how you feel, but to me, it was all relevant and going towards the point of development and unity of Africa. So that's why
we're not straight off point. Everything is in line.
I mean, what Brother Austin said is like thousands of years old, the spirit, right? Like even Socrates said, if you don't get into politics, fools will rule over you. You see, so it's very factual. And me, I'd address that in another way. I'm someone that looking at tactics. I remember when I said the main thing to me that most youth can participate is economic empowerment. Right? So, and then when you get into that, like Brother Austin said, you see that you need to get in there to protect your own assets. If not, eminent domain, the mayor wants to build a road where your house is. So Brother Austin, me, I'd attacked it in an indirect way that I would prefer to build value and then use that value to lobby politicians. So that's how I'll be participating in politics.
Thank you.
You see, one thing I said about the African education that has to do with imposing, that is so well we feel that we are so domineering. That's what our brother also brought in. Whenever you have a different view from most Africans, they totally, I don't know, they totally, and it's a problem. We need to grow to a level as a people where we know that your own level of knowledge and where you are coming from, somebody also can reason from another different place, and they have another different view. You can disagree on things to agree.
Yeah.
The question is in all of these things we are saying, why I'm really concerned about the politics stuff. We are talking about people coming together to build a united Africa, to build business and all that. When you talk about business, the first thing you talk about is interest. And when you're talking about interest, then you are talking about politics. That's why I say politics is economy, and economy is politics. Even politics is life. Everybody you see that involved in anything at all, anywhere, they are involved in it because of interest. And wherever there is interest at all, then there is politics. Because the ability for you to not convince another person to buy into your ideology, to buy into this, to support you on this, then what are you talking about, Brian? Is it not politics? You are talking about politics. Even without politics in a family, you talk about all this and all that. Because we are talking about the United African Front, where we can do business together and do a whole lot of things together. You see, all of us now, if we don't begin to think of looking for people with same ideas, and talk to them to join politics from different local level of the African space that they are from, and begin to think of how to influence things gradually. Because the truth is this: we can complain. The reason why the politicians make that place to become too toxic, and they are abusive and they are so wicked the way they are now, is they did it intentionally to scare good people away. It's a deliberate act. I know. I've moved with a lot of them. They do it deliberately. When they act in that kind of a way, because they are thugs, because they are not educated, because their interest is not the general well-being of the people, they try to scare good people who will now come to change the narrative. And when those people run away, they are happy. Other people again will not want to join.
You're muted, Brian.
Yeah, say,
Let's,
Brother Austin, even bad people, in the sense that anyone that wants to change it, look at this guy.
Yes, anyone that want to change the status quo,
Yes,
they
this
just
cocaine
can't
lord.
scare them away.
You know this cocaine lord? How do they call him? From Medellin,
Mhm.
Escobar, Pablo Escobar. How do
Yes,
you think he fell? It's when he wanted to get into government, to become governor and to change the thing. After building buildings for his local community, he was like, "I'll bring better change as governor." And where did he hang? You see, so a lot of people, that's their downfall actually when they try to go bring change.
yeah.
No,
because when they want to do it, most times they try to do it alone. Doing it alone is the problem. That's the problem.
You may have to be a little bit patient. Oh.
Really, Ursula, please now. Please, let's round up.
No, we'll round up, but you may have to be 30 minutes. You may have to be a little bit patient.
30 minutes. 30 minutes. It's a long time. Go
I'm going to
ahead.
work tomorrow. I'm going to work tomorrow. It's almost 3 a.m. here.
I have a meeting now. I have to drop. I have a meeting now.
That's fine. Oh, yes, right now.
Let me fly, Suleiman. And
All right, all right.
Yes. Yes, let's go.
So, as I was saying,
Mhm.
the thing is, first of all, foundational issues have to be dealt with.
Yep, I agree.
You cannot build something on nothing and expect it to stand. You know, I'm just still going to buttress on what I said earlier. Like, Africa, first of all, needs... Look, once you clear poverty off the road, you are 90% done. The rest is history. If we can, as a matter of urgency and responsibility, put infrastructures in place, create jobs, and give people means of livelihood.
Mm-hmm.
Now, people will be less bothered about hate. Hate is as a result of strife. When people are hungry, they are bitter, they are angry, then we'll start talking about jollof rice and whatever's
And Cameroon pepper.
on Cameroon pepper. Those things, you understand what I'm talking about.
Yep,
You know?
I do.
We're talking about all those kind of things. Okay, look, a typical example is the European Union. And you can even cite that of Canada and the United States. Why don't they include South America? Why don't they include Cuba, Mexico, and other parts of the Americas? It is because those people still have a lot of things, foundational issues to grapple with. You understand? Okay, why European Union 25, from how many states they became 24, they became 25, 26 now. Okay, considering Ukraine now. Why not every part of Europe? Because those countries that have their own foundational issues will drag them down. You understand? Will drag them down. Go and sort yourself out first. So that's where we still are in Africa. We still have a lot of countries that have not sorted out their small problems. Then okay, the ones that are even there, for instance, now South Africa gained independence from apartheid in 1994, right? I think 1994 or 1991. The PTSD they have gained from that thing is still with them till today.
Oh yeah, they're still dealing with the effects.
They are still dealing with the effects. The strife between northern and southern Cameroon is still a problem.
Oh yeah.
So if you talk to a person from southern Cameroon, if you listen closely, you still see some, hunger, angst.
Yep, it's there.
It's there. So you're talking to a people who still have serious fundamental and foundational problems to unite. No, they cannot unite. First of all, solve those problems, then there's unity, then there's integration. You understand? But all those basics are not yet treated first. We are talking about building borders when there are no roads or there are no roads at all. I watched, there's a lady called Ichi Boots on YouTube. I think she's from Switzerland. She rides her bike across the world. When she was riding across Africa, I was ashamed. Look, and your leaders schooled in the best places in the world. My president schooled in the US, Ghanaian president schooled in Canada. So don't they learn anything? They lived in those places. So it's a foundational problem, and seriously, we as people who are fortunate and privileged enough to have the kind of exposure we have should maximize the opportunities we have to the fullest, so that we can train better minds. Then, if you affect one person, I affect one person, this person affects one person, we are building a community with people with healthy minds. That's what we can do.
You are coming to the same thing I said before.
Yeah,
That if we get involved
from the same angle.
You say if you get involved, we all get involved, influence one another, and begin to do like you call evangelism. That's how we can only change. Let me tell you about a movement that happened in Nigeria last year, where they almost shake the entire. No, just under a minute. Just under a minute. That shake the entire Nigerian political space, where the so-called political cabal became afraid. The youth of Nigeria came together as a force for the very first time, supported the man called Peter Obi. They were even ready to fund him to get to power. You saw how the whole thing shake the whole political place. There's one thing the politicians are scared of. I have a lot of them. I know a lot of politicians that I'm very close to, though I don't agree with them. So because of that, I distance myself from them. I only just see them as only friends, family members, and all that. I distance myself from a lot of them. One thing they are scared of is the unity of the people. And they are always scared of people with idea. And they can sell the idea to people. They are always scared of that. And that's why you see politicians all over the world are always, I'm a media person. They always try to take charge of the media. Over 50% of what you hear in the media that has to do with politicians are not true. I will tell you as a media person, over 50% of what you hear in the media, whether in the US, whether in Canada, whether in the UK, whether in Africa, or that they are not true. They are politicians because the mind, you know how the mind works, what you continually hear and what they continually tell you, you naturally believe. And that's why they always spread this thing. They take hold of social media. You see for the very first time where politicians were now employing people, paying people to occupy social media space for them. It happened in Nigeria. They see the power of the media, whether social media, whether electronics or print media. And they see the power of the youth. I'm not angry with the older people. I'm really angry when I see young people between the age of 50, 55 down. When I see them who have this young mind, don't understand the problem. But when they talk, they only talk bit around, and yet they are not ready to take the step, get involved to change these things. Whether we pray from now to tomorrow, whether we do anything from Monday tomorrow, we talk about this, or that. We that has the idea, if we don't get involved to begin to put what we know to work, we are joking. Thank you very much. Good night.
Yeah.
Thank you. So
enjoy the rest of your day.
Oh, thank you so much, Brother Austin. I always appreciate you for coming up. Yes, go ahead, Brother Solomon.
Yeah, you said the last time that we're going to discuss raising children in the Western world.
Yes, I thought Kobe was supposed to connect up. That's a topic that I definitely want us to talk about. And yeah, let's plan for that. I'll talk with Brian and reach out to you. Let's plan something at your convenient time, so you don't have to go and hide in the kids' closet at night to talk to me because you don't want to disturb them from sleep. Yeah, we can plan something at a more convenient time for you, so that we can talk about that. I would definitely love to get your points on that base that you're in Europe. I've done a little bit of child upbringing in Europe and in the US and then in Cameroon as well. So I just wanted to be able to have that conversation and see, because these are things that, again, as we talked the last time, these are conversations that we want to have and see how we can enlighten other people just by sharing our experiences. So yes, I'll reach out to Brian and have him, let's work on that. Let's plan something.
Okay, that's over next weekend, right?
Over next weekend, I'll be out of town. Can we push it a week away?
Okay, no
That's okay.
problems.
Yeah, let's push it a week away because I'll be out of town next weekend, so I will not have my gadgets to have a show.
Oh, no,
Yes.
no, no wahala.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
thank you so much. I appreciate you jumping on and giving your thoughts again. I appreciate these conversations a lot. I learned a lot from you people. And man, I pray that my listeners are also learning as we do this.
we're all
Thank
learning. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Sure, my
All right.
pleasure. Sure.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Hey guys, it has been a long show. It's been a long one. But again, truth be told, it's one of those shows that we have people who are thinking in different dimensions. People who are thinking about this, like looking at Africa, right? Talking about some of the things that we can do, some of the things that we have done, how we can target the issues we have. Again, just having people pour their brains, being able to express themselves, share their thoughts. To me, that is magical. To me, that is the information, that is the knowledge. I see you, Chef Ngwa, you say, what does it take to build great minds? It's by listening to conversations like this, and reading also will help you a lot, because the truth is we have people out here who go around with a lot of knowledge in their heads. There are a lot of people out here who, if given the platform, they'll be able to say things that will be very insightful for those of, again, someone like me. I'm learning a lot about Africa in general, because yes, we all went through the African history classes that we had in Cameroon, but what did they teach us in there? Not anything that will help us grow. I don't, again, my dad better not hear me say this, because he was a history teacher, but hey, it was a curriculum. He was not teaching him, he was teaching the curriculum. But hey, I do appreciate you all for hanging on here. It's been a long show. It's 2 hours, 15 minutes. And I want to have conversations like this, conversations that tie to what this podcast is all about, right? You Can Be Anything podcast. I want us to be able to come onto this podcast and talk about the things that will encourage us to become better versions of ourselves. We talk about things that will encourage other people to say, hey, you know what? I was just thinking that I could do this, but now after listening to Solange and her crew, I'm willing to jump into politics. I'm willing to do this. Hey, I'm willing to run for this one. I'm willing to open this NGO that works on this or focuses on this. So, hey, I do appreciate you all so much. There is never a dull day with the You Can Be Anything podcast, and with you, my listeners, my people who come onto the show, my guests, and again, all of you who comment. I appreciate you all. I will see you people next weekend. No, I'll not be around next weekend to host the show, but I'll probably have the Sunday Fun Day with the Roy Mama show. So thanks again. I appreciate you, and stay blessed. Remember, be good to each other, and let's continue to learn, read, listen to shows like this, participate, and just become better versions of us. All right. Thanks again, and have a blessed week. Bye-bye.